Hi friends, and welcome back. This video I'm going to talk about my top 3 favorite movies, books, and TV of 2025. So let's go. Okay, I'm going to start out with movies first because that's what I'm most excited about. And I'll start with my third one and then we'll kind of go up from there. So I've got my little notes and I chose Frankenstein as my number 3. I watched this, I can't remember if it was November or December of this year, but I loved it. Okay, this version of Frankenstein was like, this version made me cry. And I know a scary monster movie is not supposed to make you cry, but that's the way this movie was done. It was done so well. Directed by Guillermo del Toro. We're going to get a very human version of what has always been called a monster. So we've got Dr. Victor Frankenstein. He has created, they don't really give him a name. Sometimes they call him the creature. At one time he's called Adam. At one time Dr. Frankenstein says, "You're my son." But we take a very dark, sad turn when the doctor doesn't nurture him, take care of him, really almost, he was going to kill him. You know the story. The story is a classic. But he just it's a sad, neglectful story. And we see in this version, Dr. Frankenstein was treated horribly as a child. So we see that there's this kind of cycle of abuse, which can be a metaphor for real life, regular everyday life, where we have families that are broken. We've got Jacob Elordi as the creature. He did such a great job. We have a tiny little bit of a romance in the movie. We've got a part on forgiveness that is what made me cry. We have this part with forgiveness that is given, and it just pulled at the heartstrings. So the real horror is not the monster. The horror is the treatment of another human. He has been created as a human, parts and pieces. So the real horror is the treatment. The real monster is the doctor, the human, who had no love, no care for the thing he had created that didn't ask to be created, but was. So real quick note about Mary Shelley. She's going to be the original author of Frankenstein. She had to first publish her works anonymously because women in the 1800s didn't get to just run out and create and publish a book. She did have 2 parents that were already in the literary field, so that made it easy for her. Not easy. That made it somewhat in the possibility for her to even be able to think about doing this. But a couple of years later, she was able to add her name to this story. So I thought that was interesting too. But so that was number 3. Number 2, this might be a lot of other people's number 2s because it was huge, but it was Weapons. I loved this movie. This one is by Zach Krieger. I hope I'm saying that right. Probably not. Kreger or Krieger. This is going to be more of a true horror story in the sense that there is just a dread that is present throughout this whole movie. It is an unsettling, dark, eerie feeling that won't go away. When we do find out that children are missing, it's like one of the worst things that can happen. So we're getting parents' worst nightmare. We're getting teachers' worst nightmare. Town's worst nightmare. We don't get a whole lot of clues. Nothing's really explained. We don't even get a nice ending, which some people don't like. I happened to really like that because it was like one last gut punch. We have great performances. Julia Gardner, she was also in Ozark. She did great as Justine. And then we have Gladys, our horrible, icky, terrible villain, played by Amy Madigan. And she was fantastic. I mean, Gladys was all over social media as a meme. This movie was spectacular. It was a great, great, great horror movie. No jump scares, no little silly, which jump scares are fine. I just thought how refreshing that this was a scary movie that just left you feeling you were kind of like you couldn't settle the whole movie. You were just like your chair was just not comfortable. You're kind of like skin crawling. So that was number 2, wonderful movie. Number 1, this might be a lot of people's number 1. It is Sinners. This was a Ryan Coogler film, top to bottom, written, directed. He's mostly a Marvel guy, but I am not much of a Marvel movie watcher, but I loved this movie, obviously. It's my number 1. So in this movie, we've got Michael B. Jordan. He's going to be playing both of the twins, Smoke and Stack, going back to Mississippi to try to restart, try to get a club off the ground, and things just go downhill from there. Vampire movie is my favorite horror genre. The Lost Boys is my favorite vampire movie. But this movie had a whole lot more significance to it, and that's why it made number 1 for me. It wasn't just a scary movie. It was a statement on culture. It was a statement on cultural appropriation. It was a statement on exploitation and the metaphor of a vampire coming in, draining the lifeblood out of a culture like an African American culture, then leaving the victim tired, lethargic, unmoored, just feeling like everything that they have contributed has just been taken without permission. And I thought the vampire metaphor of that lifeblood being drained from them, slavery, oppression, and for the vampire to use that as fuel, and then that lifeblood to be drained out of the victim, when that lifeblood also means to them ancestry, lineage, identity. I mean, I was just blown away by this movie. He tied together so many strings. He tied this tapestry. If you've seen the movie, you know that scene in the club where it just kind of goes through time. Not only do we have a great metaphor, we have great acting, great performances. We have a great soundtrack that comes out with it, great music. We have a fun extra scene at the end of the credits rolling, and then another secret scene after that. It was just a really important movie, and that's why it made number 1 for me. It wasn't just here you go, here's a scary movie. It had a lot of depth to it. It was really something to think about and talk with others about, listen to podcasts about. It was a great movie. Okay, I am going to give you an honorable mention right here. It didn't make my top 3, but I did like this movie. It was called Mountainhead by Jesse Armstrong. Jesse Armstrong also did Succession. Succession was one of my favorite TV shows. It's not on anymore, but you can go back and watch it on HBO. It is fantastic. So Mountainhead is 4 tech bros, major tech bros, billionaire tech bros that come together for a mountain retreat. And you're like, why would I want to watch a movie about tech bros coming together for a mountain retreat? Well, it's dark, and these guys talk about being hollow and empty inside. I think it's a portrait of cultural rot. I think it shows exactly how empty these guys are. I think it is a portrayal of how America somehow has this billionaire worship, and it's gross. In the movie, there's a lot of talk about AI, the implications. These guys that have invested, one of the archetypes of the movie, there's 4 guys, so you've kind of got one who's going to be more like a Mark Zuckerberg, an Elon, maybe a representative, the AI guy, and then one that is called kind of the father archetype, who is going to be a little bit more of a old tech guy, like Netscape or things like that were created in the very, very beginning, that has just amassed this vast amount of capital with it. And these guys are all there together. There is a little murder plot happening. So it is twisty, and it's very dry, cynical humor. It does make you laugh. It makes you laugh at these guys, and that's fun to laugh at them. So that's going to be an honorable mention, because I really, really, really did love that movie, and that's Mountainhead. Okay, we're going to move on to TV. My number 3 for TV is actually they just wrapped up Pluribus, and it is 1 season on Apple TV. Like I said, they just aired their season finale. I am really loving this show. It's kind of the premise of a mysterious wave takes over the earth, and everyone is happy, and that's it. The eeriness, the unsettlingness is how people look, how people act, and we've got 13 people that were immune and are still fully human, fully doing everything as usual, intermixed, kind of these happy zombies, but they're not being mean, they're not doing any harm. In fact, they can't do any harm. So that's a great show that I'm enjoying right now. It's by Vince Gilligan. He also did Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Number 2, which is coming back in January for season 2, is The Pit. The Pit is by R. Scott Gemmell or Gemmell. I don't know how to say that. So this is an hospital ER in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and each episode is 1 hour. So you've got a 15-hour shift. So you've got 15 episodes, and each episode is an hour in the ER in this emergency department in Pittsburgh. And Noah Wyle is back in the medical arena. So it's, a lot of people like to say it's ER, ER-like, ER-esque, but it's more gritty. It's a little more serious. And the stakes are higher, but I really enjoyed it. My husband and I really, really liked it. It gets very intense. It's bloody, and if you don't like medical procedures, you're probably not going to like this. I did have to look away quite a few times, but I liked the intensity. So that was my number 2. Number 1, Severance. This is Severance season 2. I don't know when season 3 is coming out. It'll probably be a whole nother year away, and that'll be sad, but I love Severance. This is a puzzle show. This is a show where things are given to you that are clues. You will use them to figure out other things. This is by Dan Erickson. Some of the episodes are directed by Ben Stiller, so that's why you see him associated. Adam Scott is our main character here from Parks and Rec, and he just does a fantastic job. Severance, you have innies that go to work, and your outies are what you are when you're out of work. So you have a procedure, and you work at Lumen, or you might work other places, but you go in You take the elevator up and you're turned into your innie, and your innie just lives at work. He or she doesn't know anything that goes on outside of work. Your outie comes back on as you go out of the elevator and you leave for the day, and your outie is your outside world human. In season 2, we start pulling back a lot of the layers. We start finding out more and more and more of the dastardly company that is running this, the inner workings, the weird, strange behaviors, and we're getting bits and pieces of more information. So season 2 is really like kicking that door open and finding out why this is happening. How can we effectively change this without hurting the individual? It's just fantastic sci-fi. So if you're into sci-fi, I recommend it. Honorable mentions here: White Lotus season 3. I love White Lotus. It's just season 3 I don't think was as good as 2 or 1. I don't think anything's as good as season 1, White Lotus. So, but I did want to give it an honorable mention because Parker Posey and the family from North Carolina in that was amazing. That was my favorite. Another honorable mention, All Her Fault on Peacock. It was a twisty murder mystery, family drama, dark psychological, really, really good show. I loved it. And Platonic is a really great comedy if you're looking for something a little more lighter, a little more funny. It has Rose Byrne and Seth Rogen, and I think it's an easy watch. It's funny, it's light, it's sarcastic, it's great. Okay, and books. I'll start with my number 3 was Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. I gave this 4 stars. Funny enough, I didn't give any book 5 stars this year. I don't know. Bad year for books, I guess. But Beautiful Ugly, I liked it most for the setting. We're on a Scottish island. It's very eerie, dark, creepy. We've got an author, Grady. His wife has disappeared, and so he has gone there to write a book. He can't find his wife, da-da-da-da-da. So things kind of start unfolding on the island, and it's good. I love Alice Feeney's books. I have read most of them, if not all of them, and they're all fantastic. Number 2 is The Swimmer by Loreth Ann White. Gave this one 4 stars. It is a classic, twisty little thriller of, we've got a witness to a murder, a swimmer being murdered. So this witness goes on a little bit of a spying expedition. So she starts spying on the next door neighbors, and nothing really ever good comes from spying on your neighbors. So I want to say this author is Australian. I feel like it's set in Australia, but don't quote me on that. I can't quite remember, but I have read a lot of Loreth Ann White's books. They are all good. And my number 1 was God of the Woods by Liz Moore. I gave this one 4 stars. I did not give this one 5 stars. I know. I just did not have a 5-star book. And I'm probably a year late on this book. I think everybody else read it in 2024, and I finally got around to it in 2025. But we've got a summer camp in the Adirondacks, and a teenager goes missing. Another child has gone missing 14 years earlier. So this is kind of a bit of a double mystery with a lot of family drama. And I love stories where we have wealthy people behaving badly and kind of some sweet revenge going on in there somewhere. I love those kind of stories. And this story gives you kind of a little mix of everything. I have an honorable mention. It's actually a book of poems. It's called If Lost, and it's by Clint Bowman, 4 stars. I loved this book of poems. It's Appalachian based. It's hyper local. It's nostalgic. It has a lot of beautiful poems about some things that are brutal and ugly, and then a lot of things that are hopeful and sweet. And I thought it had a great bittersweetness to it that was perfect for after Helene, when we're all here trying to rebuild our lives, and I thought it was just perfect. Okay, that is it. I hope you enjoyed hearing all of my favorite books, movies, and TV shows. Let me know what your favorites are, and thanks for watching.